We are now live. Happy Tuesday to you. Why is it happy? Because I woke up and I'm able to make this video for you today. This video is for Mr. Kasurik. He asked how to thicken a gravy, which in the kitchen we call it a stock, soup, sauce. We generally don't use the term gravy in the kitchen, but it is what it is. So you got a few varieties of thickeners to discuss. One is bones, and if you roast beef bones and you put it in a stock pot and you reduce it down for many hours, you get the gelatin out of the bones, which is a natural thickener. This is Demi Gloss, so you can see the finished product. It's very gelatinous, and that's from the gelatin. So you must remember they make gelatin, Knox, but if you're going to, this is used for thickener for desserts and such. If you're going to use that, that is not vegetarian friendly. You can use cornstarch, you can use arrowroot, you can use flour, but obviously gelatin coming from bones is not good for vegetarians for obvious reasons. So real quick, we're going to do a variety of thickeners. The first is a roux. So I did a video earlier on roux, and basically what roux is melted clarified butter that you heat up, and you mix it with an equal portion of flour, which this is flour. And you're going to put enough flour in just for it to draw a line in and separate, like I said before, like Moses with the Red Sea, when he parted the Red Sea for the Israelites to run through, and the sea closed back up and the Egyptians weren't able to get through. So you can see for a roux, and you can cook it to various degrees, different colors. You get a white roux, a tan roux, dark roux for like things like gumbo, but you see how you can draw a line through it. So that's the proper consistency for a roux. Obviously a roux is going to have the most amount of flavor because it's made with a fat, which is butter. So the more fat you get, more flavor you get, but it's not healthy. So the thing to always remember is when you're thickening a liquid, this is just going to be water. It's a water test today, what we learned in culinary school. I actually skipped that class. I had the ping pong tournament with our restaurant the night before and was out drinking beer, so I skipped class and missed my perfect attendance pin. My old culinary school roommate, Mike Borstein, is on there. He can attest to it. We had a lot of great times with that ping pong table in Pittsburgh at Pennsylvania Culinary. So it's just water. I'm going to dump a little out. The thing that's most important is always add a hot roux to a cold liquid, a hot liquid to a cold roux. So you're going to stir that in, and you can see it as it cooks, it will get thicker. And the amount of roux you add to a liquid is basically dependent on how thick you want the roux to be. So once the sauce thickens, I recommend cooking out a roux, the starch, for at least 20 minutes to get the starchiness and the flour taste out of your gravy or sauce or soup or whatever you're making. So we'll bring that up to a boil. But while we're waiting that to boil, there's another thickener out there, obviously, which I already mentioned, which is cornstarch. Argo, whatever, whatever brand. You can do that by making what we call a cornstarch slurry. So how you make a slurry? Very simple. Cornstarch and water. And you do this to omit the lumps. You get a pretty heavy whisk, and you're just going to mix it up. So you can use this as a thickener as well, the same way you would add a roux. You can either add it to a hot or cold liquid. Just remove it from the heat when you make it and bring it back to a boil. But the thing which is nice with cornstarch, what they do in a lot of Asian sauces, is finish it with the cornstarch slurry because it makes a nice shine to your sauce. What you can do with your roux here, which you can see it's starting to get thick. So, and the thing is, if you add too much roux, it gets too thick. You can always add more broth, stock, whatever back into it to get your desired consistency of the sauce you want. Seafood and chicken, a little lighter consistencies and sauces, beef stews, braised items are going to be a little thicker. Grilled steaks are along on the thinner consistency, whereas in stews you get a thicker consistency. So once it comes up to a boil again, I'll explain the cornstarch slurry real quick and how that works. And that'll be just a second. We're boiling almost here now. And I'm going to pull it off the liquid. We'll add a little slurry to finish it, which this is a great way to finish a sauce with the roux because it'll make the sauce shiny, which I will add another component in a minute, which you can finish your sauce with whole butter. Makes it shiny, gives it more flavor, more rich. It's a lot more rich in flavor, but once you finish it with butter, always remember just to keep the sauce warm. Do not boil it because the sauce will separate, which in a professional kitchen we call it, it'll break or it's broken. So now that this is boiling, as you can see, it's starting to boil. What you can do is you can pull it off the heat. You'll add your slurry in just a little bit because it's already thick anyhow, and you see how it's getting thicker. Bring it back on, and once the cornstarch, once it comes back to a boil, some chefs say you have to cook it out for a few minutes. I've always been taught once it boils, it's pretty much cooked out. So now it's boiling. So you ask about the butter. A real easy way, these are little fancy butter pats we make here. The ladies do a great job at the club. You can just cut up cubes of whole butter. And what you do is, obviously this is boiling, you're gonna take it off the heat. And you can add a couple pats of butter in and just swirl it around, and it gives it great flavor, gives more shine, adds a lot of richness to your sauce, gives it full flavor. If you don't want to use the butters, you have health concerns, you're worried about the fat, you're like me, you're a heart patient, your cardiologist doesn't want you using a lot of extra fat, you can derive, flavors from garlic, fresh herbs, many different ways, fruits, onions, to make more flavor in your sauce other than using the richness of butter. So you see here it's finished out. It has a nice shine to it. You can put it out back on the heat, but you just want to keep it warm. You don't want to boil it because, like I said, it'll separate. So it's a real quick video for you. It's simple. Explains a lot though with your variety of thickeners. We had gelatin, obviously. We had cornstarch. We have flour. I didn't explain arrowroot. We don't have it here. And a natural thickener you can use too, derived from fruit, is pectin. And that goes great in desserts and fruit sauces and such. So I hope this helps. Gives you a better explanation of seeing actually how to thicken a sauce or a gravy. What do you do with your gravy? You pull the pan out of your roasting pan, your turkey, your roast, whatever, pour it out, put the fan, the fat in the pan, and you can add your roux like that as well and make your roux with the fat. Makes an excellent flavor, but it's not very heart healthy again. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Stars are in the playoffs, are down 2-1. Go White Sox. Enjoy the day.